Hi, I'm Christy. Today I want to talk to you about how to have a successful holiday meal. So, the big day finally arrives. You're together for your big holiday meal. You sit down to enjoy the meal as an extended family or with your friends. And then your loved one says or does something that ruins the meal. And the day goes downhill from there. Sound familiar? Well, I'm probably over dramatizing things some, or from some experiences, not so much. But it is a scenario that is entirely plausible in just about any setting where someone with special needs is involved. Sometimes the situation becomes embarrassing. Other times, it's just a part of life. A lot of it depends on how well everyone is prepared. So let's take a look at how we can try to prevent such occurrences, or at least lessen the impact they have when they do happen. Now, obviously, preparing your loved one is one thing that comes to mind, especially if it's a kind of meal that's very different from what you usually have. You can help them to know what to expect and why this meal will be different. Now, there's so many different factors to consider. Who will be attending the meal? Where the meal will take place? When or what time of day the meal will occur? Types of food that will be served? Different behavior that may be expected? How long the meal may last? And the list goes on. You get the idea. Now, of course, they're still themselves, and who knows what's going to come out of their mouths when they actually sit down to eat. But the more your loved one knows what to expect and understands what's expected of them, at least to the best of their abilities, the more likely the meal will go smoothly. Now, the other side of the coin is that those attending the meal need to know what to expect from your loved one. Ideally, they'll be familiar with your loved one and have a pretty good idea of how they behave, so surprises are less of an issue. And if or when they do happen, they're more likely to be accepted by everybody and move on quickly. However, we all know that ideal situations are not necessarily common situations. If you suspect that this is a possibility, I recommend talking to the host of the event and maybe even anyone else attending who's unfamiliar with your loved one. Get them an idea of what some of the issues that possibly could come up are. It can also be helpful to tell them a little bit about your loved one, what their likes and dislikes are, and what some of their strengths are. This helps them realize that your loved one is a person who has some quirks that might come up at this meal. Now, as far as the actual food goes, everybody has food that they prefer not to eat. Somehow, it seems like these tend to show up at holiday meals more often. Now, most people learn how to work around them or to eat a bit of it without making a big deal and to be polite. Many times, individuals with special needs have no filter though, and they are not afraid to let you know exactly what they think of what's been put in front of them, and not always politely. So while this is definitely an area to work on with your loved one, the others present also need to understand that this is a possibility and not to take offense at it. Other times, though, it's not what's said, it's the actual food that's the issue. If your loved one has food sensitivities or allergies, holiday meals can become very problematic. So many holiday foods include ingredients that cause problems for people with food issues: gluten, casein, dairy, eggs, and the list goes on. So many of these items look so appealing and so tempting that having to miss out on them can cause problems. Meltdowns, tantrums, simple disappointments can easily result. And all of this makes it more likely for issues to arise at the table. Now, if your loved one does have food issues or restrictions, I recommend bringing at least one dish that your loved one can eat and that they really like to help minimize their disappointment during the meal. It also means that you know that there's at least one item on the menu that is safe for them to eat. You can also consider talking to the host or others who are bringing items and see if anyone else is willing to provide something, or ideally already planning to bring something that your loved one will be able to have without a problem. Now, once again, especially because this is an area that I don't deal with on a regular basis, I am positive I'm not thinking of everything that comes up here. So I was able to find 2 articles that offer some great tips. You can find links for them over on the blog. That's at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted in November of 2019. The Disability Action Center has an article with tips for surviving the holidays. I like the way that they break it down by holiday: Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. I also like that they offer links to other articles, especially those that they got ideas from. Now, Friendship Circle also offers an article that focuses on children, but once again, I think the information applies much more broadly. I like that the tips in this article focus more on issues that the individual will face, and offer suggestions on how to prepare responses and practice appropriate behaviors beforehand. I also appreciate that they discuss a few issues that most people don't address in such a straightforward manner, things like the picky eater or having a tube-fed person. So my question for you this week is this: how do you prepare your friends and family and your loved one for holiday meals? How does your loved one do in such situations? I'd love to hear your experiences. You can leave me a comment below, or you can leave me a comment over on the blog. Again, that's at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted in November of 2019. As always, I'd appreciate it if you'd share this with anyone you think would find it helpful. I'd love to help as many families as I can. Sign-up lists for my email list are available over on the blog. Again, signing up lets you know about all newly released content as soon as it's available. Thinking through our holiday meal preparation now so that I will still be able to say that life is good and there is never a dull moment.